Hello and welcome to another video, and today we're going to be talking about the Xbox One X. Should you buy an Xbox One X? Is it worth it? We're going to dive into everything about the Xbox One X. Do I think it's worth it? Have I enjoyed my time with the machine? You know, do I think it was worth the $500 price tag of this machine? And we're going to go ahead and jump right in. So first thing to note, I actually was able to pick up the Project Scorpio edition of the machine, and it's cool. Like, it's cool to have this version of it. You know, I still love the name Project Scorpio. I wish they would have went with that instead of Xbox One X, but I get because they're making a family of machines and a whole line of them that naming it the Xbox One X versus the One S, it makes sense to me. So this box is really cool, by the way. So, I mean, the simple question is, should you buy an Xbox One X? Unfortunately, the answer to that simplistic question is a lot more complicated than you would think. This machine kind of is going to bog down to different reasons for why you would want to upgrade from a base Xbox One to this, and we'll dive into that today. The first thing I'll say about the Xbox One X is that they delivered what was promised. This is the most powerful console on the market. It is incredibly powerful, but it isn't without problems and a few caveats and disappointments, honestly. The most disappointing aspect of the Xbox One X to me is that it's still an Xbox One, and that's the biggest thing you have to get over. And that's the biggest problem with this machine is this isn't the Xbox 2 or the Xbox 2.0 or whatever you thought they were going to call it. This is literally similar to PS4 versus PS4 Pro. This is just their iterative machine this console generation. It is a massive leap forward in terms of raw hardware power, even more so than the PlayStation 4 Pro. And in many regards, I think out of the gate, this machine is better and more well supported than the PlayStation 4 Pro was last fall. And that's a very massive up for this thing. And in those regards, I haven't regretted my purchase. I think that it's done a very good job of not only telling you from a menu standpoint, hey, these are the games that have enhancements. You can literally filter that on the machine itself, and it'll tell you what games are Xbox One X enhanced and what games are not. That's very helpful because on the PlayStation 4 Pro, they don't really tell you that. You just kind of have to know. That being said, the UI is still clunky and cumbersome to use. It's gotten better throughout updates. Microsoft's always been really good on the software side of things, updating their systems. We saw them go through it with the 360. You know, the 360 started with the Blade system and worked all the way up to what it is now. The Xbox One, the Xbox One is going to be the same way. And I mean, just think back to what that original Xbox dashboard was in 2013 versus what we have today. It's come a long way, and in many ways this is the best version of the Xbox One dashboard we've gotten now, and that's great. That's really good for them, but it's still clunky at times. There's still slowdown when you go into My Games and Apps and want to load up a game. It still hitches sometimes, the same way an Xbox One or a One S would. That's disappointing considering how much hardware is packed into this machine that it would still be like that. That's one disappointing aspect of the machine that's been hard for me to get over. You know, you have to take the time and pepper into that fact that not all Xbox One games are going to get Xbox One X enhancements. However, it seems to be that literally every game you throw at this machine does benefit from the extra power in some way, shape, or form, and that's pretty cool, and we'll get to that later on. If we dive into the presentation side of things and how games look, it's much more impressive. One of the biggest games I played through in its entirety on this machine was Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus. Now, I had played the first level of Wolfenstein 2 on my base Xbox One S before I transitioned to the Xbox One X, and then I restarted the game and played through it again. However, trust me when I tell you, it is a massively noticeable difference in Wolfenstein 2. Wolfenstein 2 on the base Xbox One was incredibly blurry. There was a lot of motion blur and just kind of almost a grimy feel to it that's incredibly cleaned up when you play it on the One X. It just looks so much better. It runs at pretty much a persistent native 4K resolution at 60 frames, but it does have a dynamic resolution scaler, and there are some instances in the game when the action gets a little hot and heavy that the resolution will drop just a little bit. But compared over to the PlayStation 4 Pro that runs the game at 1440p, it is a massive leap forward in those terms. Other games that I've tried on the machine, some of these I have footage of in here, some of them I don't. I've tried games such as Hitman, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Gears of War 4, Halo 5 Guardians, Slime Rancher, Path of Exile, Titanfall 2, Dead Rising 4, Ark Survival Evolved, Diablo 3, ReCore, and Super Lucky's Tale. Also, there have been 7 Xbox 360 games that have received Xbox One enhancement patches. I've played a couple of those, including The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, Halo 3, and Mirror's Edge, and also Skate 3. But the improvements don't stop there, and that's the most important thing. One of the most surprising aspects of this machine for me, and this is just a story going off of me, is I've been wanting to play the game Deadly Premonition. As you know, on this channel, I was going to play through this game on Horror Fest, and unfortunately I ran into that hospital glitch, thus rendering my game broken, and I couldn't progress in the PC version of the game.
Welcome back, everyone.
Thomas. Agent Morgan, it's past 2100. Let's meet up again at the community center tomorrow. I haven't been sleeping much since this all started, to be honest. I'm exhausted.
I was just about to suggest the same thing.
I'll make arrangements for people to gather between 1500 and 1700. I'll try and get as many people as I can to come, so don't be late, okay? Don't be late.
I'll be there.
The community center's on the south side. I've marked it on your map.
Thanks, Thomas.
Well then, see you tomorrow.
And within a week, Microsoft decided to make that game backwards compatible on the Xbox One, and I played a little bit of the Xbox One S, and then I was surprised when I played the game on my Xbox One X how much better that game looks and runs. It now runs at a pretty much capped at a 30 frames per second limit, and it looks a lot better, just visually a lot more striking and better. Now again, this is a game that's incredibly rough around the edges and was a budget title, but it runs really, really well, and it's very impressive. This is a very impressive feat to take a game that is virtually kind of broken in those regards and make it actually playable due to the power, the untapped power of the Xbox One X. So this was very impressive to me. Now, I haven't had a chance to try out other 360 games that are backwards compatible that don't technically have Xbox One X and patches. The only other game I tried was Red Dead Redemption, and that game seemed to run at a little bit faster of a frame rate and a higher resolution as well, even though it does not actually have an Xbox One X enhancement patch. Some of the biggest improvements I've seen in games have been Titanfall 2. Titanfall 2 looks incredible. The jump from, I believe, 900p on the base Xbox One up to native 4K 60 frames is really quite a difference, and it just makes that game look that much better. Another big one is Rise of the Tomb Raider. Rise of the Tomb Raider is one of the few games that actually allows you to choose between resolution or frame rate. So you can play the game at native 4K at 30 frames per second, or you can pick frame rate and have it at 1080p 60 frames. I'm a frame rate guy, so that's what I would pick. However, the game looks absolutely stunning on the Xbox One X and is one of the impressive showpieces for the machine. Finally, the other game, and I've played a little bit of this game. I honestly picked this game up on Black Friday just out of morbid curiosity, and I don't know if I'll do a review on the channel of the game yet or not. I haven't decided yet, but it is Super Lucky's Tale. One of the big reasons I wanted to pick this game up, it is one of the true native 4K 60 games on the machine, and I have to say, now I'm not judging the game on its game quality, but on its visual aspects, it's one of the more impressive games on the machine. Everything is incredibly colorful, and it runs at native 4K 60. It looks really good. It's very impressive. However, I'm not going to speak about the quality of the actual game because I really haven't played that much of it yet. I still think it's also kind of absurd that Microsoft would put out any kind of platforming game a week after Super Mario Odyssey came out. So that's probably what killed this game, but I don't know. I haven't played enough of it to form an opinion, but from a visual standpoint, it's very impressive on the Xbox One X. But overall, in this past month here, as I've been playing on the Xbox One X and I've been enjoying it and playing different games, I've really enjoyed the machine. I'm much more impressed with this leap forward on the Xbox side of. I would say in the last year we've had almost a lackluster support on the pro side of things, with Horizon Zero Dawn being the only really jump in quality that I've seen on a PlayStation 4 Pro game from its base version to that. There's some others out there, and you can shoot them in the comments below if I've forgotten, but Horizon Zero Dawn is the most noticeably impressive jump between base and iterative console, and I'm hoping now that Xbox has their iterative generation console out that developers are going to push these two higher end consoles to their limits way more than they have thus far. Let's answer the big question, should you buy an Xbox One X? Is the Xbox One X for you? Well, as I said, it's a complicated question, but I'm going to break it down into two categories. So it's this simple. So to answer yes, should you buy an Xbox One X? You know, if you want to answer the question yes, here are the reasons why I would answer yes. Do you own a 4K television and care about visual fidelity in video games? Do you want the most powerful machine out there on the market? Or do you have a day one Xbox One and you're just looking to upgrade to the latest and greatest on the Microsoft side of things? Finally, I'm going to answer, should you buy an Xbox One X? The no category. So I would agree no if you don't care about visual fidelity, you don't own a 4K TV, you just want to play these games and you don't necessarily care about having the latest and greatest machine, you just want to play games, then I would say no. Obviously, the more complicated thing comes into, you know, what system are your friends playing? What online service do you want to support? Do you want to support PlayStation Plus? Do you want to support Xbox Live? I always have steered more towards the Xbox Live side of things because I think the quality there is way far ahead of PlayStation Plus, but that's always been me. And obviously, the biggest question you have to ask yourself at the end of the day is, are there games on the PlayStation side of things that you want to play that aren't on the Xbox One? I mean, prime example, Xbox One can't play Horizon Zero Dawn. Xbox One can't play Nier Automata. The PlayStation 4 has those games, the Xbox One does not. Now, the other thing you have to jumble in here is that Microsoft's had a bad year on the software side of things. They've had 3 big releases this year, first party. Cuphead, which is arguably the best release they've had this year, and it's for sure in my top 10 games of 2017. However, they also had Halo Wars 2 that didn't set the world on fire, and Forza 7. Now, Forza 7 is a big game for racing enthusiasts. I'm not a racing enthusiast, so I'll be honest when I say I don't care about that game, but that's me. I respect the people that like racing games, and Forza usually offers the best racing out there in video game form. But that's it. That's what Microsoft has had this year. So they've really kind of shit the bed this year on exclusive games. And couple that with the ability of just playing all these games if you have a decent PC because of the Play Anywhere initiative, it makes things a little more muddled when trying to decide if you want to buy an Xbox One X. So it's going to be interesting. E3 is going to be the big tell-all next year because Microsoft has to come out of the gate with games. Here's why you bought an Xbox One X, because here are all these games. I also think it would behoove of them to have some games that are just console exclusive to the platform. Now that means they can be on both Xbox One, One S, and the X, but I think if they locked out a couple of these exclusive games from the PC Play Anywhere initiative, it would really help them get some more console sales. But it just seems like Microsoft kind of doesn't really care about that right now, so I don't know if that's the way it's going to go. Anyways, guys, so my overall, if I had to give the Xbox One X a letter grade, which I really hate to do because it's a system, right now I would give it a B+. I think it's a very excellent machine for the price. I think it is a massive leap forward, even in terms over the PlayStation 4 Pro. When you look at some of the Xbox One X enhancements, I mean, the PlayStation 4 Pro a lot of times caps out at 2K resolution, whereas this thing is pretty much pushing native 4K as much as it can. Now, again, there is a lot of checkerboarding between both of these machines. It's not as evident on the Xbox One X as it is the PlayStation 4 Pro, but it does still exist on both of these machines. However, the other thing you have to take into account is we're only starting to get to this whole 4K TV, 4K resolution thing. So these are kind of the baby step consoles, if you will, to get to whatever the next thing is, you know, be it PS5 or Xbox 2 or whatever we call these things. However, I think right now, you know, if you want the best bang for your buck and you have to have the most powerful console out there, the Xbox One X is worth it. I've been happy with my Xbox One X for the past month. I've enjoyed using it a lot more. I've used my Xbox One more this month than I have probably this combined total year, just because of lack of games on the machine that were exclusive. And I find myself now buying more and more of the multi-platform games on the Xbox One. I recently just picked up Shadow of War that I'm going to play on the Xbox One. You know, I also picked up Super Lucky's Tale. I also picked up Final Fantasy 15. I'm going to finally play through Final Fantasy 15 at some point. Because apparently the Xbox One X enhanced version is the best way to play that game now. So that's pretty cool. But overall, I think it's worth it if you're an Xbox fan and you have $500 and you want to jump in on the latest and greatest, it is a pretty massive leap forward between the base Xbox One and this thing. Just go in knowing that this machine does have some disappointments. It is just an iterative console. It is not the next Xbox. It is just a much better version of the current Xbox that you already own. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, until next time.